Hi everyone, welcome back to the PokeCharm stream. This is Pokemon White. I am Teapot, and joining me today is Stella and Delicidian.
Yep.
So, a couple of things for the game. First thing to know, I have been doing a little bit of off-scene grinding, not too much. Second thing to know, as you're about to see, it's now winter. So, obviously the Gen 5 games have seasons. They change on the 1st of every month, so it's a month of spring, a month of summer, a month of winter, etc. We were in autumn before, in July. Now it's August. I haven't actually streamed since July 31st, so it's now winter. So that's actually going to change the map for us, so that's going to be fun. Some of the routes we may have taken before have now changed, so that's going to be an interesting thing to sort of get through, but that will be interesting.
Insert obligatory brace yourself, winter is coming comment here.
Yep. I know nothing about Game of Thrones, so I can't even say anything interesting there.
To be fair, you're not missing anything.
I think I tried once. I mean, I tried listening to the audiobook, and it was one of those things where it was all just a little bit... I don't know what the right term is, but... Oh, that's the gym, okay.
Basically, in the immortal words of the prophet of truth, politics. How tiresome.
Yes. I have just realised we have already got Skylar's badge, don't we?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we do.
Okay.
We spent most of last week's stream futzing around in Twist Mountain, trying to figure out how to get out of there.
Okay, so I ground up for a little bit. I didn't think I'd need to. So, let's actually have a look at the correct gym leader and see how in trouble we may or may not be. So actually, we have done 6 of the 8 badges already, which is kind of impressive, really.
Badges? Badges? We
oh!
Stinking badges!
Okay, that's going to be a little bit tough, I think. They're a little bit higher level than us, but I think we'll have... Maybe we'll give it a go, fail miserably, and see what happens. Let's see. I'm pretty sure there's a Game of Thrones reference in chat, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
I'm going to blame Jon Snow for it.
Why? He wouldn't know why. But again, he knows nothing.
Which makes him the perfect mascot for Generation 5.
Oh god, I'm just suddenly reminded of the one time where the Activision geniuses decided to get him for something. At some point,
oh, it was yeah, it was Call of Duty, wasn't it?
Yeah, Infinite Warfare. At some point, they basically decided to have some actor they gave rotoscoped into every game they make, and then they found out one of them was a complete...
I was gonna say, one of them was Kevin Spacey, so that went well for them.
Well, yeah, they've kind of erased him from the thing, and they put Tom Hanks in instead, which, you know, is a good decision in terms of, you know, sticking it to Kevin Spacey, but,
They've done what, sorry?
Hanks.
I've not heard of this.
They've actually done that. They've completely and utterly, you know... If you have the game on a system that can actually, you know, update.
Oh, really? They redid all the mocap and all the modelling and swapped out.
All the they redid all the mocap and all the modelling and all the voice work, and they replaced Kevin Spacey with Tom Hanks.
Blimey!
I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's a great idea because, you know, yeah, sticking to the, I wouldn't even call it a man because he's not worthy of the title, but it's Tom Hanks. I don't think Tom Hanks carries the character as well because he's Tom Hanks, you know?
Because he's too nice?
Pretty much. I mean, basically when you, the whole point of, I realize this is probably spoilers, but this is an old-ass Call of Duty game, and at this point, you know, it doesn't really matter because they're all...
Honestly, I think most people are surprised that Call of Duty has a plot.
I know, right? It's the same 90s action schlock, basically. Anyway, so basically what happens is that, you know, that particular character basically sort of runs a private military company, so to speak. And
Of course.
he's introduced as a protagonist, and then he kind of betrays you, and then it turns out he wasn't an antagonist all along, herder.
What a surprise!
I know, typical. Yeah, again, typical 90s action schlock. But yeah, I mean, say what you like about Kevin Spacey, and I'd rather not say anything about Kevin Spacey. He carried that particular character archetype
Yeah.
pretty well, and I admit I've not yet seen the particular Tom Hanks version of the things, but it's Tom Hanks. I find it really difficult to picture Tom Hanks doing this.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey's easy. If you've ever seen an episode of the new House of Cards, he's just that, but maybe less southern. I don't know. But
It's basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of cognitive dissonance you get when you try to picture Patrick Stewart as a villain. Except that, Patrick Stewart can pull off a villain. I mean,
I was going to say, he's definitely done that extremely well.
He's done Mastermind, and he's done Conspiracy Theory, and he's done it really well. But it's like, you see the guy, it's like, it's Jean-Luc Picard. Something is not right here.
Yep.
So, the same thing regarding, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, this is sort of the ongoing issue with Tom Hanks, is everyone knows he's the most wonderful gentleman you'll ever meet. Everyone who has ever met him agrees that he is genuinely a lovely person.
Yep.
I mean, I remember this. This is a completely pointless story, but I love it. He ended up getting baited onto appearing on a podcast because I don't know what the podcast was supposed to be about, but Tom Hanks has a real love for vintage typewriters. So they managed to bribe him into coming on the show by sending him a vintage typewriter. And it just sent back a typewritten note. It's like, oh no, I can't. Oh god, okay, fine, you've convinced me. I'll do it. It's brilliant, and the resulting podcast, I did actually end up listening to it. Is brilliant because he's such a lovely guy. It's such an interesting guy as well. He's one of those people, especially like the what I would call the English greats, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen, and a few others, Derek Jacobi, where you just sit and listen to them talk, and that's fine. That's all you need,
Pretty much, yes.
Speaking of, not speaking of old English people. Hi, Cole.
I'm not that old.
No,
Yet.
well, that's why I said not speaking of old English people.
Getting there.
Well, we're not all perfect.
Yeah, indeed, but
We were talking about before we came on the stream. We were talking about the console manufacturers earlier, and
okay.
no, it's all right. We're not complaining about them just yet. But I was saying I don't have anywhere near as much of an affiliation with the console manufacturers as I used to, because they're all kind of got their own problems in different ways. Because the game library and that sort of thing of the PlayStation makes me want to prefer Sony, but they're so awful about everything that you can't really like them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Sony at all in general, to be honest.
Yeah, I do have that problem.
Yeah, as a company, they kind of dirt. But
They hate Nintendo and Microsoft. Well, yeah, they compete with Microsoft. That's kind of, they don't really compete with Nintendo anymore, but
nobody really competes with Nintendo. Nintendo are just their own completely separate niche, to be perfectly honest.
They are. It's why we were saying yesterday that you could easily say Microsoft characters in Smash because there's no disadvantage to anyone involved for doing it. You would never ever see, say, Ratchet or Kratos in Smash because Sony have a lot more to lose from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Sony did attempt at some point to make their own version of Smash, so to speak.
I remember that. It was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. It bombed like insert vaguely offensive racist terrorism reference. Here.
Yep.
which I try not to do.
Well, that's always wise. Yeah, you always have this problem with Sony have the games but not the goodwill. But Microsoft have they're trying to, yeah, they have the goodwill. They're certainly trying at least, but they don't really have the games library yet, which is why Phil Spencer is walking around with buckets of money and throwing it at people, I think. But it's kind of a, yeah, it's proving, it's a bit tricky to kind of say, oh yeah, I like this one, I like that one. Yes, sorry, apparently someone...
Basically, yeah.
Sorry, someone in the chat, yeah, there's a game called, what is it, PlayStation All-Stars? Which is essentially a side-scrolling platformer fighting game. And it contains a load of characters from Sony franchises, which means you've not heard of most of them. I wish I was joking. It was alright. I mean, it was terrible, really, but it kind of... It did what it needed. It did what it needed to, but it was kind of a flawed concept from the off.
I think the problem it kind of ran into is just the fact that it was blatantly, well, inspired, shall we say, to put it nicely, by Super Smash Brothers, and Super Smash Brothers ended up being much better than it. So,
I'm actually taking a look at the list of characters here, and yeah, it's actually really, really ridiculous. I mean, you've basically got, obviously you've got Kratos, because, you know, at this point.
Persona isn't a Sony exclusive. The main series games are. We don't really know why, but they are. But the Persona Q spin-off games are actually on the 3DS. So if you were just going for just Sony characters, there's actually that they're not actually Sony characters. They're third party.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Shin Megami Tensei in general is basically, it gets everywhere. It's been...
I think more recently it's been kind of Nintendo, really. The main series, Shin Megami Tensei games, anyway. Or am I wrong?
The main series is kind of... To be fair, I'm not even sure what's going on with the main series anymore. I don't even know what constitutes as the main series anymore.
I know the next numbered kind of actual, honest to God, Shin Megami Tensei game is on Switch, which is kind of interesting.
I mean, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting as far as these things go. So it's one of those things where Atlus obviously are very, very much a third party. They publish on everything. Persona itself is Sony affiliated, but not a Sony game, not a Sony series. It's a little bit like Crash Bandicoot.
Yes.
Atlus is still thinking about putting Persona on the Switch. Not that we've heard. I think you're probably right, but we have no real basis to say that.
It would be interesting, to be perfectly honest, although, considering the fact I've heard that the game, doesn't it have, like, weird lag issues even on the PlayStation?
Persona?
Or am I confusing with something else I've heard about?
I think you might be confusing it with something else. I think it's fine. I've played it. I played 5. It runs fine.
See, I've never actually played.
Watch a playthrough of 5 at some point because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good plot material in there, but I've actually not looked.
Hang on a second. Can we?
Yes.
How much have I missed of this stream?
Not long.
Not much.
Isn't this like the 7th gym?
Yep.
It is.
We are here. We are actually in the back end of the game now. This is where we've gotten over the last couple of months we've been streaming. I know. I had this exact same thought.
It's kind of hilarious when you think about it because, you know, I mean, when you take a look at where the rest of our streams are, I mean, I've recently completed the 5th gym. I'm working on the 6th gym in my stream, and well, Dr. Oak is still kind of
getting fisted by Bayleaf, yeah. let's not play pretend games with this.
Yeah, but in terms of gyms, he's
done 3.
Yeah, he's done 3. He's gotten 3 out of the way. Admittedly, one of them is Whitney, so, you know, we can kind of sort of see it. But yeah, basically, Generation 5 moves fast.
It does. It really, really does. You can blow through the first first 4 gyms really quickly. I think a lot of the game is kind of in the last couple of gyms area when the plot happens. There's a lot of it. But
although it does fit that plot in well with the gym leader progress and stuff like that.
Well, it's one of the few games with an actual plot that actually progresses with the actual game, if you know what I mean. Rather than going, okay, you fought the 7th gym now. Here's the plot. Once you're done with that, you can finish the other gym.
Yeah, they're very, very disjointed from each other normally. But
Yeah, I mean, Sun and Moon does quite well at that as well, in terms of having pockets of plot that show up regularly. But yeah. But that does mean that I will be spending kind of quite a while in the back bit of the game. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny. You know, I'm doing the 7th gym right now. Oh, we've got an evolution.
Nice.
Oh wow, here we go.
Yep,
Now you don't have to worry about hustle anymore.
that's true.
And there we go. Darmanitor.
Just in time for this gym as well.
Yeah, which will be very helpful, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's probably going to be like kind of impossible to lose now now you've got this guy.
As long as he's high leveled enough, because the levels are a little bit higher in this game.
Yeah, I mean as long as the man can land hits on them, he's probably just going to one-shot them all anyway.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Yeah, now that it actually evolved, it's got sheer force rather than hustle. So yeah, it's going to land hits.
Have you got Flare Blitz?
Yeah.
Yeah, Flare Blitz is getting boosted by sheer force as well, so.
Ooh, this should hurt. I'm also going to need to start carrying potions around to save Weeble from itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, because that recall's going to sting.
That's gonna hurt, yeah.
Oh yeah. Most
But,
definitely.
Yeah, it's convenient. It's rather convenient that Flare Blitz can burn things.
It's very, very useful, isn't it?
Because that's what allows sheer force to work.
Ah. Oh, I see. Yeah. I forgot what Sheer Force did for a minute there. But of course, it removes the secondary effect, but gives it a power boost, doesn't it? 30%.
Yeah, it's a power boost of 30%. So yeah, so you can't burn things with it, but you don't need to because now it just kills them. So.
Yeah, because they'll be too busy being knocked out first.
Pretty much.
Wow, that hurt. Yeah.
Flare Blitz is a complete monstrosity on that particular species of Pokemon.
I'm glad
I
I
don't
went.
usually like recoil moves, but yeah.
Oh, especially in game.
Yeah, in game they're a bit annoying because of the fact you have to keep looking potions around.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cart around loads and loads of potions for the rest of the game now, but that's all right.
It's worth it.
Yeah, well, before I fight the gym leader, I'll go back and get some heals. Should be fine though.
Heels on wheels.
Yep. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting, sort of, to see how quickly I get through the rest of the game after the last couple of gyms. I mean,
It's the dragon person after this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's I don't remember which I fight. I think it's
It's Iris. It's white, so it's Iris.
Oh well, can't win them all.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I have to admit, I've been doing my own run of white slowly via my own means, and I've actually managed to get through the game fairly quickly, and only started having issues right at the Elite Four.
Yeah, I did a run once where I traded in a Contrary Snivy, and
Oh, man.
yeah, I kind of blew through the first half of the game in about 2 or 3 hours.
I actually did that with a Defiant Bishop Revolution Ponyard.
Oh yeah.
The fun part about Defiant is that everything in the early routes in this game basically tries to lower your stats.
Yep.
And it's basically just every single thing you fight just kind of boosts you to murder mode.
Isn't it great?
It is.
It's
I
wonderful.
mean,
It's probably why they've never released those abilities for in-game, where they've been hidden abilities, because they're just they're just complete.
Defiant is not a hidden ability, that's just the thing's ability. The problem is that, you know, in the actual game, you only get your hands on Ponyard is so stupidly late game that it's
Yeah.
always Pokemon that are like. There's
Well,
a lot of Pokemon in this game that are like very much.
Oops.
I want to like this thing. I want to play with it. I want to train it, but it's so late game. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's Noivern disease again.
Oh yeah, definite Noivern disease. Heatmore is not the best fire type. I mean, I like its design. I kind of wanted an anteater Pokemon for like forever.
Yeah?
And I do like the weird Foundry sort of look. And I love its cry. So, but I've never seen much of a use for it beyond EXP in a can.
I must admit, I do spend a decent majority of my time forgetting Heatmore exists, which is kind of bad.
It's very easy to forget that it exists, to be fair.
It is
Yeah.
a Gen 5 Pokemon.
I mean, I get the theme of it is like, the idea is that it's designed to specifically kill Durant,
Which makes sense, yeah.
which it does, admittedly. It does a fantastic job of that.
Yep.
To be fair, Durants are an absolute pain otherwise.
I'm being really silly here and forgetting how to actually navigate this puzzle. Oh well.
Although it's kind of funny that like Darmanitan kind of renders it obsolete anyway, just by
Oh, yeah.
existing.
To
Yep.
be fair, yeah, I mean, the problem with Heatmore is the fact that, you know, one, it's very, very late game, and two, it's in the same game that gives you both Darmanitan and Volcarona.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would even go as far as to put Embor in that category as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just, you know, whoever chose Heatmore. I mean,
It's better than Simisear. I guess that's something.
well, yeah, everything's better than Sincere.
Yeah, Simisear is actually the least popular Pokemon of the entire Pokedex in the entire world.
To be
Well, according
fair,
to Japan at least.
I mean, to be fair, it's basically just a Squall wannabe.
It's like Infernape, who was completely terrible, basically.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
think
Simisear is.
I think I've probably mentioned like a few times that in one of my first attempts at playing through Generation 5, back when I was still playing a really, really half-translated Japanese version, when the game actually gave me Pansear for the sake of, you know, back in the Ruins of Dreams, or what it's called. What did they call it that again? The Dream Yard? Whatever. Anyway, I actually named it BC. It stands for Bootleg Chimchar.
Well
And I've
played.
been calling it that since.
I mean,
Forever.
you're not wrong.
Hey, no, you're not wrong at all.
It's just like this really, really cheap.
Blimey, this thing hurts.
Yeah, that's gonna have a lot of health. So,
I just remember. Whoa.
well, it's got a lot of health. That. So, to be fair,
Yeah.
you'd probably be alright with the Vanillish or Vanillix, whatever it's called. Cryogonal. Yeah, that shouldn't knock you out with the recoil, because I don't think it's got much health.
I like these things.
Oh, it might now.
Just hit it.
There's just. I like these things for some reason. They're so ridiculous looking. There's this evil, floating, angry snowflake of doom.
Also, very hard to get hold of as well. You've got like a 1% chance of appearing in whatever zone it is they're appearing.
You would hug
They-
Cryogonal. That seems a bit
appear
pointy.
more often during winter.
Yeah, you probably lose an arm.
That's true, yeah, they just appear a lot more often during winter. But that's how you get most of the ice types in this game.
Yep.
Just wait,
for winter. That
yeah,
makes sense.
wait a few months. There we are. And that's badge 7.
I mean, basically, my only issue with Cryogonal is the fact that it's got the same disease as Glenlie. It's a pure ice type. Why is it a pure ice type? It should be at least Ice Dark or something like that.
To be fair, in VGC 11 it would have worked quite well, because most of the popular stuff in VGC 11 was weak to ice.
That's true, yeah.
And if it wasn't weak to ice, it was weak to water.
Demon Floating Head!
So Samurott and well, Samurai actually, as far as I know, became quite popular just for the simple fact that it could kill things. Also, Simipour had a little niche for itself too.
Cielo.
Oh no, Sharon is being introspective.
Sharon!
Something about you changed? Not really.
Oh no, character development, how dare they?
Oh no.
Has he realised how terrible it actually is?
No.
Ooh, the plot appears.
Show yourselves! Oh joy, it's the Naruto fan club. We are beings of the shadow. We are
Oh,
not
right,
easily
yeah.
noticed. Yes,
I-
of course.
I have to
Because
do
it's so hard to see a ninja wearing black on white snow.
Yeah, that would have worked.
It's almost
Tell him
like
to come back to the village.
it's almost like seeing a. It's almost like how hard it is to see a ninja wearing bright traffic cone orange.
Well, you know. Let's be honest, like, whilst we're on the subject of Naruto, like, it kind of became silly to me that they kind of, I guess, started out as sort of like ninjas and then just kind of turned into Dragon Ball Z characters with shurikens.
They're wizards. They're basically wizards. That's the thing. They're wizards that use chakra instead of MP.
Can I just point out that Naruto is basically just weeb Harry Potter?
It really
Kind of is, yeah, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can't get up here except in winter, which is quite fun. This particular.
Yeah.
So
There's
actually,
a TM there, isn't there?
there is, yeah. Oh, it's a nugget. Sorry.
Oh, no, yeah, okay.
It would have been a bit rubbish if you couldn't get a TM except in winter.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's something that they would do.
This is true. You're a wizard, Harry. Yes, you're a wizard, Naruto.
You're a wizard, Harry. You're a hairy wizard.
I don't know, I don't ever remember them really telling Naruto that much. They usually just told him he was a waste of space.
I mean, they weren't wrong.
No, not at the beginning, I mean...
Well, yeah, it took him about 30 volumes to become broken, so...
Oh, yeah,
Well,
well, you know, that's a
yeah,
decent amount
but
of time.
before that, they just couldn't believe it.
No.
Sorry.
Hey, look! Hey, look, guys! It's the fridge door.
Goku did better, I'd say, overall.
To be fair, the thing with Naruto is that, you know, it actually, at some point, supposedly, it actually got better. I mean, I remember when the series started and it was just a series of badly traced fight sequences from superior anime.
What,
There's-
Naruto?
Yeah, there is at least one sequence that is literally traced over a battle scene from Cowboy Bebop.
Wow.
Someone actually did a side-by-side comparison, and it's almost a
It's just
complete
plagiarism,
trace.
basically.
I like this. I like this. You just yes, here, child. You are off to go and fight an evil team, risk your life, and you know do something extremely dangerous. Have some cake.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like you've had any issue in dealing with these guys before.
That's true. Maybe it's a metaphor.
Yeah. Maybe he's secretly GLaDOS.
It's just about to make some reference to that, yes.
Dragon. Literally.
Dragon Sword.
Oh, Drudagon.
Yes.
Ah, yes, the legendary Lego dragon.
Just for fun, I'm going to chuck a dust ball at it.
Go for it. Drudagon's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, I haven't really got space for it on the team, but
No,
it's
well.
really cool. So,
The
Yeah.
thing that got me about Drudigon is the fact that, you know, this is the same game that has Haxorus,
yep.
which is basically outclasses this thing in every freaking possible degree.
You say that, but Trick Room.
Well, yes, but that requires anyone to be carrying Trick Room!
Yeah,
I-
I have that.
I think I have. I think I have that on a TM. As a TM, so I could do it. I'd have to reconfigure my entire
You can't-
team for it, but
Yeah. I mean, I used Drudagon in VGC with the Trick Room team, and it was surprisingly ridiculously strong, and I was like, okay then.
yeah, it was a great Pokemon. It was just, as you say, it was a bit overshadowed by Haxorus, but it was actually really good. You weren't the only one who used it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
the thing
absolutely
with,
not.
yeah, the thing with Drudigon is that basically the general impression of it is the fact that, how should I put this? The game gives you three interesting, in their own way, dragon types. One of them takes forever to level up and become useful, and it's also really, really pretty much... You're only going to get much mileage out of it in the post-game, assuming there is one. And then you have Haxorus, which is like, you know, insanely strong, but actually does require some degree of investment.
I'm actually
And then
going
you have
to.
Drudigon, which is just, you know, it's kind of like pushing all the elevator buttons at the same time. Because it's like, you know, it's already strong, but it's like, you know, strong right from the get-go. So it's basically, you know, kind of cheating.
Yep. 4x weak to fairy now, yes, but it's not it's not. We don't have fairy types yet, so this is a different dimension.
Yeah, fairy types weren't invented at this time.
In this particular, yeah.
Well, being Gen 5, they probably just forgot about them.
Of course.
Although, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Hydreigon still dies horribly if you punch it in the face.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Hydreigon's weakness to fighting was enough that it might as well have been 4 times, considering how strong fighting types were at the time. And still
yeah.
are, really, let's be honest.
Also bugs. I mean, to be fair, this is a
Sizzle
thing that has
well,
both.
I say Sizzle, Hydreigon could probably quite easily set it on fire.
And that's what you have Volcarona for, to be perfectly honest. And Galvantula to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Generation 5 was really, really good to bugs, essentially.
It was.
I'm hoping, because obviously I'm not running a Volcarona in this game, but the benefit of obviously playing Black and White is that I'm then compelled to play Black and White 2 afterwards, which means I get a new team. So I will probably run Larvesta and Volcarona.
I would be quite interested to see that, actually.
Yeah. So sorry, and responding to the chat again. Somehow this is a different universe where fairy hasn't been discovered yet. Correct.
It's a forgotten
Except it's not exactly discovered.
It's not discovered.
Evolve in there.
Exactly. So Pokemon actually has the idea of alternate universes. So it's made reference to in the Gen 6 games where they actually talk about
episode, yes.
In the Delta episode, someone actually, I think it is Zinnia, isn't it? Goes,
yes.
What we know, what is it like? Like they realise, actually, Mega Evolution and Fairy types are basically a result of essentially a glitch in the Matrix, another universe where things are subtly different. And so they actually muse, what's it like in the world without Fairy types, without Mega Evolutions?
Basically, what happened in the Delta episode is the fact that, we have this huge meteor coming in, all Barukin and Armageddon rip off E.
Well, you see.
And basically, the fine folks at Devon had this idea of basically, again, ripping off the plot of Armageddon and sending the meteor off elsewhere. If you catch my meaning, using a lot of stored energy. I love Golos.
I love the fact that it can fly.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, it is a robot.
Yep.
That's true.
Anyway, basically, they have all this idea, they're trying to set this, but then Zinnia shows up and called it. So yeah, you're going to send it somewhere, but have you thought where it's going to go when you send it? There is another universe out there where where the Callous War never happened, where Mega Evolutions were discovered and evolution took a slightly different turn, meaning fairies never actually happened. And what you're basically suggesting here is to just send this rock to that particular dimension, and it's going to be their problem. You're going to use a slight ton of energy that you've drained out of Pokemon to save yourselves while completely dooming another universe. That's not how we do things here in America.
See, what they don't tell you...
Yes, it is! That is exactly what they do in America.
I know. I'm just kind of doing that particular
Let's be honest.
thing.
Which what,
Yeah.
What I was going to say is that what they don't tell you is it wasn't Yveltal that caused all that destruction.
It was
It
Trump?
was Malcroft.
Malcroft, fair enough.
Anyway, yeah, basically the whole thing is like, okay, look, I get it, guys. You want to rip off Michael Bay, but no, we're ripping off Akira Toriyama instead.
Fair enough, I suppose.
And that's why I stole 7 keystones from 7 different NPCs, and now I'm going off to a tower to summon a giant green dragon and make a wish to save the world.
Yeah, and then an alien turns up to destroy the planet.
It doesn't even do that. That's the hilarious thing. It just kind of hitchhiked on the rock. And blew up the rock and released its capsule, and it's like,
In America, by the way, you go to space to you send your space force to space to fight a giant green dragon and redirect meteors at another universe.
Pretty much.
Nice.
That too.
So Donald Trump is literally going to become Frieza.
Yes.
I mean, he has the color for it. At least the final form.
Yeah, he's golden, all right.
Oh right, yeah, you have to use strength in this area.
Yes, you do. Luckily, you have it.
You don't.
Yeah.
I think you can go around somehow.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to go and explore the rest of the room anyway, so...
Oh, man.
But you know,
There's a lot of things in
yeah,
here.
having strength kind of speeds the process up like a lot, but you
Yeah.
can go around in some way. That's one thing I really liked about how Generation 5 handled AGEMs. I mean, even though it had them,
Yeah. You
it
didn't really need them.
basically- Yeah, exactly. I mean, except for Surf in some places.
Well, they
the
learnt a
game-
lot from Generation 4, which is terrible.
in terms of- exactly, that's the whole point. They basically did the whole thing in terms of you see that you can actually go up on that platform to
Yeah, I'm going to go and have a look around up there.
yeah.
It does appall me to think that people actually think that Gen 4 is better than this generation. Like, just get out.
Yeah, as much as I actually do like Sinnoh, yeah, the excess amount of AGEMs really needs to go fornicate off.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know it's subjective and everyone likes what they like, and that's fair enough, you know, that's fine.
Yeah, but
Sinnoh is worse in
Yes.
almost every metric.
pretty much. And the games are generally worse as well. I mean, the frame rate is horrible. The online functionality was kind of just not there. Well, it was there, but Gen 5 did more with it. to
It
an
was
extent.
it was in its infancy, I think.
Yeah, Gen
Yeah,
5 kind of turned the corner and started trying to make something out of it.
Yeah, well, they kind of realised that there was an actual purpose to it, and people actually used it.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of hilarious when you think about it, in terms of the fact that Generation 5 was developed concurrently with the Generation 6. It was,
was?
just this big... It was basically them being like, you know, okay, we're still learning the ropes of the 3DS because, you know, it's a whole new system, we have to develop a whole new engine and all that. But
Well,
we need to keep the series running, so let's refine what we have at the same time.
I was going to say, they liked Unova so much, they made another Unova game instead of finishing Kalos.
Yep, pretty much.
Oh, why not, right?
I mean, to be
I'll be
fair, when you take a look at how Kalos is, I'm pretty sure that we're still trying to figure out what they're doing with the 3DS.
Yep.
There are... Okay, obviously. I am going to say some filthy pirate things here, but I think that part of the reason that the 3DS is so difficult to properly emulate is the fact that even when you get the system more or less running the way even if you basically understand how the system works, the weird hacky solutions that they've been developing for every single thing kind of just make things different. I mean, to this day, X and Y cannot run on anything that is not an actual 3DS, which kind of is pretty impressive when you consider the fact that they've managed to get Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Moon basically running with very few glitches,
Yeah?
pretty much on release. They still haven't managed to figure out what they're doing with X and Y.
Do we want to do anything else with X and Y?
Finish it.
I mean, I still want to play them at least once. Mostly for the sake of completion, you know.
Well, all I'll say is you're not missing much.
I know. I mean, I have watched playthroughs and things, and I do... It's like, I know the game itself is very, very meh in a lot of metrics, but at the same time, it did introduce a whole lot of species I really love. That's one thing I appreciate about what they've been
See,
doing.
if you wanted to make Gen 6 harder, you could just remove the XP share.
Yeah, so actually, I was going to ask about that. Is Gen 6 hard? Or is Gen 6 easy, sorry?
It's not exactly hard as much as it's, you know,
I don't think it was any easier really than any of the other games without the XP share being used. It's not about the
Yes.
same.
So I think it goes back to what we were saying yesterday, doesn't it? Which is...
Yeah. If you do use the XP share in Gen 6, it's an absolute piece of cake, like, and anyone could do it.
Well...
Like, you would just walk through the entire game like it's a
I
piece
mean,
of
to be
piss.
fair, that was kind of the part of the design philosophy behind Generation 6. They basically, you know, they both underestimated and insulted players while not doing it at the same time. Because, you know, they basically figured that, you know, okay, Pokemon has two major player bases. They've got the snot-nosed children who just don't know what the fuck is going on, and you've got the metagame people who basically don't even want to play the game.
Yeah.
no,
The game is just this annoying thing that's stuck in their way of their eugenics simulator. So
I mean, to be honest, I'm not going to fault the fact that there is a game there, because obviously, you know,
it's supposed to be a
just
game,
a battle
yeah.
simulator.
I know. That's the whole thing, though. They basically went like, well, let's just not really put too much effort into this game, and put most of the effort into actually, shaking up the competitive edge. And that's why they came up with a fairy type, and they threw in Mega Evolutions, and a whole lot of new moves with like completely new mechanics. I mean, this is the first generation that actually introduced a move that had two types at the same time. And they've done that in generation where they've introduced moves that actually tack on another type onto a move.
Well, I mean,
Like things like
because the thing is like obviously, not everybody's going to be into the competitive side of it, but at the end of the day, like if you are going to be playing these games, like how much more time would you spend playing the online and post-game stuff than actually playing the main game itself?
Yeah.
When you think about it, the disparity between the amount of hours that get put into each is pretty significant. So I can understand that they would not want to go overboard with or at least maybe put more of the focus on the competitive stuff, considering that's what players inclined to do that sort of stuff are going to be spending the vast majority of their time doing.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing, though. That's literally what they were trying to do with Generation 6. And, in some ways it has... Yes, exactly, because basically they've kind of not really gotten the balance right. I mean, they did introduce a whole lot of mechanics and shook up the battle thing as they tried to do. But at the same time, they did Mega Kangaskhan.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think it was more their own fault. I mean, they could have fixed that a lot quicker than they did, and if they had
could
done,
have,
then...
but they didn't. They don't fix anything unless it absolutely makes the game unplayable. And even then, it usually takes them a patch or 3.
Yeah, and when they do it, they kind of ham-fist it, so it's not necessarily within,
Yeah, exactly.
Like with what they did with Dark Void, it was just like, yeah, okay, you made it so that Smeargle can't use it anymore. That's fine. That's all we needed. Do you need to drop its accuracy to 50%?
No.
He just made it completely pointless. Yeah.
So basically, you just gutted the whole move for absolutely no reason. Like.
Yep. And that's when they don't just sort of ban the move outright. It caused a glitch instead of fixing the glitch.
Well, they did ban the move outright in one year, and then they brought it back for reasons known only to them.
Yeah,
It's one of those things.
I don't know what's going on with their internal logic there, but honestly, I feel that a lot of the reason that Generation 6 feels easier, so to speak, is the fact that they didn't actually care in terms of actually putting in the gym leaders. I mean, notice how in every game, until Generation 6, you basically had the gym leaders have Pokemon that have... They basically made them have teams, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
I mean, they started out with maybe 2 or 3 Pokemon, and before you advanced in the game, they actually had teams that had up to 5 to 6 Pokemon. There is no gym leader in Kalos that has more than 3 Pokemon. And the same applies for the rivals too. I mean, one of the hilarious things about Generation 6 and how awfully written it was.
Wait, really? All the gym leaders in Kalos only have 3?
All the gym leaders in Kalos only have 3 Pokemon.
What about Unova the first time round? Because I'm sure most of them have had 3 so far for this.
I think they have, yes, but I think that as far as I remember, they have more. I mean, at least Iris had more, I think. Did she?
Oh, okay.
I think Iris still got 3.
I think they all have 3, and
I think Iris is Fracture, Droidegon, and Haxorus, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's easily the case. But here's the thing: they also had levels in this game. So basically, really, they just kind of. I think they just kind of, the fact they didn't have re-challenges with full properties also didn't really help matters. the whole game was very sort of quickly tacked on for the purpose of, well, shit, we need a game. We spent all this time on messing around the meta side of the game and so much time building the assets for making the region pretty, because, the whole design philosophy behind Kalos, not behind the Generation 6 games, in general, but behind Kalos itself, is that it's a region focused around beauty. Every region has a concept behind it, basically. Kanto was sort of supposed to be like, when they designed the first generation of Pokemon, it was supposed to be this adventure in your backyard sort of experience.
I have to say, though,
it was based on the idea of, kids walking around and collecting bugs. It was based on this nostalgic concept for Satoshi Tajiri. And that's why it was based on like the most populous area of Japan, and
Yeah, I suppose. There is some irony though about Kalos being themed around beauty, considering how shallow it is.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, well, it is France after all.
Yeah, it's true.
We had to. We absolutely had to.
I'll be honest, I actually liked Johto, and outside of like the horrible level curve that it has.
Yeah, I mean, Johto is. I do like Johto in terms of region design, but I don't like the way it feels like an expansion pack of Kanto because of how they've handled all the Johto games.
Well, that literally is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I do like the fact that it's kind of linked in with the previous game.
It is, and that's one other interesting thing about the design concept I've mentioned before. One of the things you notice around Kanto is that it's very industrialized.
Yeah.
It's a region that is in the middle of its, so to speak, industrial shift. And it's also another sort of thing that, you notice as you're a child in whatever, and, there's a huge, rapid boom in technology and development and industry and stuff. There is a very big sense of, this was my childhood experience going on with Kanto. And Johto, contrary to Kanto, is a lot more traditional.
Yeah, it's sort of the spiritual side of it.
Yes, exactly. It's a lot more shrines and relics, and obviously it's got this big focus on, the whole Kansai region and Osaka and...
the ancient sort of like tales of Hoa and Lugia and stuff.
So here's a giant enemy crab. Wait. Wrong, ancient Japan.
Huh.
And yeah, and then you've got Hoenn, which is based on Kyushu, and was it Kyushu?
I don't know. Was it based on the Pacific Ocean? I mean, it has enough water.
It's based. Well, obviously, Japan is composed of a bunch of islands, and
True.
Obviously Kanto and Johto.
I'm curious now. Which came out first, Ruby and Sapphire or Wind Waker?
Wind Waker.
So now we know what inspired Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah, they saw the boat and thought, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
I think that's yeah.
That Triforce quest where you had to go around the ocean for hours on end searching for random crap. Yeah, the people loved that. Let's just do it again.
That wasn't the most controversial part of that Zelda game at all.
Really?
That wasn't the one thing that people complained about,
What did they complain about?
They didn't like the King of Red Dragons, the fact that you had to spend so much time sailing around the ocean meaninglessly.
So basically they were complaining about the Triforce thing because that's literally all you do is sail around the ocean for hours.
Yeah. Yeah, they when they did the remake, or the re-release, whatever you want to call it, they drastically cut down the Triforce quest, apparently.
Yeah, they should have done. Because, I mean, the thing is it kind of reminded me of the artifact hunt at the end of Metroid Prime. The only difference is the artifact hunt kind of, was interesting. Or at least gave you changes in scenery other than just water.
Well, the other nice thing about the artifact hunt is you could get a lot of the artifacts before you needed them, if you know what I mean. Like, there were several you could get just during the course of the game.
Yeah, and Samus could also pick up power-ups along the way as well.
Yeah.
And also Samus did not have to pay money to get maps to find them.
Also, yeah.
See, I just imagine her just like shooting Tingle in the face and then just getting the Triforce pieces herself.
She would.
She would. She would understand that the galaxy is a better place without him.
God.
Oh, this looks awkward, doesn't it?
I know, right? If this thing uses Super Fang on me, I'm going to be incredibly unimpressed. And it will, because it's a Watchog.
Well, it's all Watchog ever does.
There it is.
I mean, to be fair, Super Fang doesn't stop. It doesn't do anything to stop you from just murdering it back.
That's true.
Yeah.
But because these are going to be successive battles, I'm going to have to waste time healing.
Yeah, true.
Oh well.
It'll be fine.
I mean, it's only Team Plasma. If only you had no guard.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that actually like from an RP setting, what would that actually like. Croc uses Dig and then Machamp has no guard and just dynamic punches him and still hits him.
Just punches him as he comes out of the hole, I reckon.
See, I just imagine him he just rams his fist through the ground, grabs Croc and pulls him out and just punches him.
Yeah, that is literally the mental image you get.
I like that. That's quite fun.
Or he punches the ground so hard that it causes like this giant rock to flow up and hurl Croc into the air or something.
Yeah.
I think no guard in RP, no guard should just be in an RP just for the amount of silliness that it results in.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure that the anime has sort of, countered Dig in interesting ways before, so obviously it would be easy to pull that off in RP settings too.
So I remember Machamp being able to hit quite a few times when I was playing through the in-game stuff. I was hitting Pokemon during their fly turn as well with dynamic punches. And I just imagine him he just swings his fist at them, and the air and shockwave from the fist just smashes him straight in the face.
Yeah.
It's a terrible One Punch Man reference.
That looks rubbish. I'm going to cancel it.
Yeah, it's circle throw is not really useful in-game content.
No.
Oh, it's
Dragon Tail.
Yeah, I was about to say it's Dragon Tail.
And Dragon Tail's not useful in-game purposes.
Dragon Tail, yeah. I haven't really seen it be useful in most settings, to be perfectly honest. I mean,
Dragon Tail's good, to be fair.
I mean, it does sometimes have a use if you're trying to get rid of a particular nuisance.
I mean, when I use Tyranitar, I pretty much always put Dragon Tail on it.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, it could be useful on that, just to get rid of some particularly irritating pests.
Well, Tyranitar gets Stealth Rock and Sandstorm effects as well, so you're just stacking residual damage on everything as well.
Oh yeah, the old Skarmory Spikes Whirlwind sort of scenario.
Pretty much, yeah.
There is a special place in Oblivion reserved for that particular strategy. I mean, it is effective. It works.
Yeah, I know, I used it.
I know. I have seen it.
Hacks? What's hacks?
Sword.
To be honest, I never actually used Skarmory that much in general. I only used it on that team because Lantern was there.
Yeah, they really do work well together.
Just the way the types line up is just really good, so.
I've actually mostly seen that particular setup on Shiny, to be perfectly honest. Shiny really loved that particular setting.
Yeah,
And
I
I've
did
also...
first, just saying.
Well, I'm pretty sure he got the idea from you.
Yeah, most likely.
I actually did borrow an idea from Shiny for one of the teams. One of the things he used a lot is the old hyper voice Pixelate Mega Gardevoir. Which is
Pretty great.
Very nice, yes.
I did use that on I don't want to say it was a magical girl themed team, but it kind of was.
You didn't strike me as the type.
And I didn't either, but it ended up having two fairy types on it, one of which was Mega Gardevoir, and Gothitelle was there as well.
Alright, okay.
Oscar Mayer Wiener itself.
It was one of the strangest teams I've ever used that I kind of just slapped together out of a bunch of stuff. And it did inexplicably work, but not quite in the way that I intended it to. So I think Azumarill had Perish Song.
Okay.
And obviously, Gothita had Shadow Tag.
Oh boy.
So the idea was to kind of use that to be disruptive and try and get sneaky KOs. It kind of just boiled down to Gardevoir going out and just smashing things to pieces, while Gothita kind of sat there and stopped them from switching anything out. So if they were stupid enough to send out a dragon, they basically just automatically died.
Ooh, cutscene.
Mostly as a power of the farce.
Not ruin the cutscene.
And the ominous music.
Dun, dun, dun. Behold, the only thing in this region that has... Woo!
To be fair, Reshiram looks pretty awesome.
It does. I mean, aside from the weird feather crotch, it is very nifty looking. I do like Reshiram. Like, as far as the particular three dragon combination team set or whatever it is, Reshiram is definitely my favorite in terms of design. I mean, Zekrom is kind of badass, but it's still a tricked out PC box. Complete with a huge fan. And Kyurem, I actually really like the fact that it's weirdly incomplete. Like, it looks asymmetrical and half melted, and I really dig that. But it's not as awesome looking as Reshiram, and honestly, White Reshiram White Kyurem is awesome as hell in terms of design. Black Kyurem, slightly less so. The thing just looks like a really angry gorilla.
It kind of just is.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of miffed that we'll probably never see the final form like the
Hey, it's
original.
Alder, the worst champion in the game. The entire franchise.
He does have a really good level theme. I mean, overworld theme though. His,
yeah, he does, but that's about
his
the only
battle-
thing he's got going for him.
Yeah, his battle theme kind of
I mean,
absorbs.
let's be honest, he gets his ass kicked before you even get to him, so...
Yeah. To be fair, it's kind of... I think what makes it even... What drives even... Focus? What drives the point of how meh he is as a champion even further in is the fact that Cynthia's in this game.
Yes, she is.
I am going to go and challenge her after we finish the game, by the way.
Yeah, you do need to actually get some levels going before that, because, you know...
Yeah, she's on level
does-
75.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole post-game thing going on, so I'm going to see if I can play with
There
some
is.
of it.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing regarding the chat. That's kind of the thing. There is a difference between a regional champion, which is, you know, an actual job,
Yeah.
and you know, the winner of the tournament of whatever. So, like, you know, okay, you beat the regional champion, you're stronger than the champion, but you're not the champion
Yeah.
because you're not on the Pokemon League's payroll.
Ooh,
Basically.
there's a good Pokemon to get.
Ooh, I love these things.
Yeah,
I like their evolved forms more, but I love these things.
the definition of champion in Pokemon and what happens when you beat the league and everything has changed over time.
Yeah, it kind of has.
It hasn't so much. I mean, it only happened. I think the only game
It changed in
which-
Sun and Moon, and that was about it.
Whoa!
and that's even the thing. I mean, to be fair, there's two cases here. In the original games,
It's a shame you don't have space for that.
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
Anyway,
I'd have
yeah.
to replace the People's Champ.
Yeah, but we can't
To
get
be
rid of
fair-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Anyway,
not going to.
basically, back in the original Kanto game, there wasn't a regional champion, so to speak. There was the Elite Four, and, you know, when you beat Lance, they actually went, you know, okay, you beat the Elite Four. That would have made you champion, except that the character that everyone usually names after a swear word, because we were all 12 at the time. Well, you know, mentally. Beats you to it. And, you know, he actually wears a championship jacket and everything in red and blue. That's something they never actually redid in any of the remakes later, which always kind of bugged me. But yeah, basically, Generation 1, Red sort of is the champion after the whole thing, but then again, you know, I think they sort of frame it, you know, every time you go and challenge, then, you know, Blue just managed to beat you to it.
Yeah.
And it did not make any sense at all whatsoever.
What are we
And then
naming
you go-
Mienfu then?
Well, is it male or female?
It's male.
Well, no, it's...
Trap.
No.
I mean, it is a weird sleeve weasel. Do we call it?
Sleeve weasel? Will that even
That's-
fit?
I always forget what those
No, it
battle
won't.
sleeves even.
I don't even remember. I always forget what these battle sleeves are.
See, I'll be tempted to call it aces just for the fact that it has sleeves.
that works.
Yeah, Aces works.
Anyway, yeah, so, I was saying that, you know, ever since Generation 2 started, however, they've had a champion. They've had Lance in Johto and Kanto because, you know, they have the same league. It's the Indigo League. They had Steven in Hoenn, and, you know, in one particular fork of reality, they had a stripper replace him, but that's a different sideline. Obviously, Sinnoh had Cynthia, and Unova had Alder originally, and then Iris in the second game, for some reason. Obviously, Kalos had the Anther. And Generation 7's league has changed because, you know, they didn't have a league before that. You are literally the regional champion because you are the first person to ever defeat the league. And that's actually one thing they have done. In Generation 7, you don't get to battle the same regional champion anymore because that's you. You're doing a title defense.
Which I really like, actually.
Yes, exactly. It actually does make it feel like, hey, you're actually kind of a regional champion. That's awesome.
I don't think there's any meaningful reason to me to be going back up here, but I've realised there's a place it doesn't let me go straight away, so... When it,
Is the Darkstone still at the museum?
It is.
yeah.
Cool.
That's actually the most hilarious thing about that particular bit of the game to me, because, you know, they've gone through all this effort to break into the museum and, you know, do the whole sneaky ninja thing, and they walked off with a Dragonite skull, which is like very blatantly a
okay.
Dragonite skull, and they kind of completely and utterly missed the stone.
Yeah,
Is there a
okay.
reason you came back here?
I thought there was more to see up here, but there actually isn't.
There's
And now your repel's gone off.
you know,
think
in
I-
case you missed it.
I can actually fly here, which is quite cool.
Can you use dig?
No, but you can fly
Oh, that's convenient.
on the top floor. I don't know if you can dig from inside it, but I don't think you can.
No, it's got a stone floor.
Yeah, true.
That didn't stop it. That didn't stop.
Also, I'm pretty sure
anyone.
digging through the stone floor would be vandalism.
I mean, Team Plasma just broke the place. I'm not sure anyone would notice.
Well, yeah, but they're the bad guys, you know. Vandalism is kind of, you know, part of the course.
To be fair, they, for some reason, it's not like you can't do all this nonsense when you're in battle. I mean, there are some places in game where you can use dig as an attack in battle, but it would make absolutely no sense.
See, the thing is if you, like, try to...
You know that bridge in Vast Coney Canyon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can use dig there. On the
See, if you
bridge.
did that in a Sierra game, it would break the bridge and then the game would be unwinnable because you can't get across.
Or,
Oh, no,
or it would just kill you. Yeah.
It
Or,
would kill-
actually, yeah, it
it
would
would-
just kill you. Like,
yeah,
the
it
bridge
would
fall
kill you
and
and make a
fall
snide
and
remark
die.
about it.
The same as if you decide to use dig in the Spiral Tower, you get sued for all of your money for vandalism, and then that's game over because you're in jail.
Well, that would have happened in a Quest for Glory game. Sure.
Good old days, eh?
One of my favorite things, one of my favorite random silly things that happened in one of the Quest for Glory games. I think it's in 2. There's this tree that used to be a woman, and if you attempt to throw a stone or a dagger on her,
I've seen this.
it bounces off and breaks your monitor. Well, you know, the effect is breaking the monitor. And then, you know, the game actually gives you a game over message. It's like, you know, and it's off to the computer store to buy a new monitor for you. Incidentally, you shouldn't be randomly attacking innocent women turned into trees. Or something like that. It wasn't
Yeah,
amazing.
it's. I thought that was quite funny actually. I was like, really?
Yep.
I did like the thing in the one King's Quest game where you go through that. There's this gate that you go through where you have to use the crystals to open up this portal thing, and one of the destinations you can pick actually takes you to where you need to go, and all the others give you an instant game over.
Yes.
One of them teleports you to Space Quest, and the other one teleports you to Police Quest.
Yes! I remember that.
And I was like, wow, you don't even, you're so shameless about marketing your other games. And that's the thing though, is they even admitted that they were shameless about it.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think there is actually, I think in Space Quest you can actually teleport into King's Quest, which then crashes your ship into the side of a castle and kills you.
Yeah, there was something like that. They love doing silly shit like this, definitely.
And then they just outright admit that they're plugging the game. They don't even like try to hide it.
Yep, they do that. I definitely remember them doing that.
It's amazing.
There is actually a lot of, you know, cross-references within the series, and even in the Quest for Glory series, you have some things. Like, for instance, in the first game, yeah, in 1, there is this particular, there's a lake. And if you sort of leave it alone for a while, then a submarine periscope pops out of the lake. And when you look at it, it's like, you know, yeah, it's the submarine from Codename Iceman. Or the Antwerp head in the Adventure Guild was stated to have been killed by 2 guys from Andromeda, which is how the Space Quest developers call themselves, for example.
I do quite distinctly remember in Space Quest, like, just how unfair some of the deaths actually were.
Yeah, Space Quest is, you know, that's the thing. They have this sort of sense of humor that the Quest for
Glory guys had,
but they also kind of were bigger dicks.
Yeah, they were massive dicks at that guy. Like, the one part was like, I think there's like this piece of metal on the floor, and if you decide, oh, let's pick up the piece of metal, it slashes your wrists and kills you.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
that's
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That
You
that
try
sounds
to
like
pick up the piece of metal, and you just automatically, no matter, you can't avoid this. It's like, there's no way of, you're not given like a mini game or a quick time event to pick it up and then you screw it up and die. No, you just try and pick up the metal and you automatically die.
Wow.
Yeah, that sounds Space Quest. That definitely sounds Space Quest.
And then the game, and then just to rub it in, the game outright mocks you for dying.
Yep, they do that.
Like, it talks down to you as if you should have known better, which, to be honest, being a Sierra game, you probably should have known better.
Wow.
Oh man, there's actually a whole lot of really, really dumb reference in these games.
So yeah, after you've pretty much sprayed all the blood out of your wrists and died, it makes fun of your, as it says, arterial art.
Yes.
Wow.
yeah, like I said, they have very similar sense to, which is kind of hilarious when you consider how King's Quest took itself very seriously in terms of stupid deaths. Except for, I think 6 had a few good moments like that, and 7 had a few really dumb ones too. But most of the series was a lot more serious about the way it did things. Which is, honestly, there's a reason why King's Quest is hot take, but the King's Quest series is the worst Sierra Adventure game series.
I think saying Sharon is Phoenix Wright is a bit of an insult to Phoenix Wright, to be honest.
It's very much an insult to Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright could actually do his job well.
I know, right?
Sharon is more like Winston Payne.
There's 2 things I learned about quicksand. 1,
I mean, in this game, isn't he literally the first person you fight?
2, it is quick. You didn't know
Oh,
anything about
Sigilus
this.
back again.
Yeah. Oh no, wait. I think you battled Bianca first.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
you do.
fantastic.
Yeah, you do. You battle Bianca, and then Sharon is like, no, oh really, you're hopeless. You two are.
Yes, this is how you lose.
Yes, exactly. Whee!
You kept him alive for the express purpose of just getting revenge on him, didn't you?
Maybe.
Hmm. I'm trying to think what else these Sierra games did to just completely screw you over.
Oh, a lot of things. Very
I
lot
remember
of things.
buying the Dragon's Ale in the one game just immediately killed you as well.
Yeah, that was Christopher Glory one, the Dragon's Breath actually,
Yeah.
and you can actually repeat that particular feat in 5.
you just
although I
immediately
think-
just drink it and you just immediately burst into flames and die.
I think that in 5 you could actually survive one round, but trying another one would kill you in the same way.
Yeah. I think in the first game, like the one round,
Yeah.
it just completely killed you.
Exactly,
Like,
it would literally set you on fire. Like, actually, that's a hilarious thing. When you walk into the only bar in Spielberg, there is already a customer that has done that. I mean, there is a pile of ash that's on one of the chairs. I don't remember. if you
See,
can
I
actually-
kind of have to wonder, like, imagine if like nowadays in this day and age, there was a bar that sold a drink that literally just dropped you dead the moment you drank it.
It would be very popular with millennials.
It probably would actually. Like you just get all the Tumblr people going there to get it.
Yeah, that's it.
Not that, and nobody would stop them either, and nothing of value would be lost in the world. Let's be honest. What else? I'm trying to think what else there was in there that.
Oh, okay. Apparently that's not the way it's supposed to go.
Police Quest actually is. I actually really appreciate Police Quest just for how realistic it was. Although it did result in you being able to do some incredibly dickish things and getting the justified response for doing them.
Yes. Yeah,
How am I supposed to
walk.
get?
You need to walk, not run.
Oh, that'll do it. Fair enough. That was going to take me about 10 minutes of confusion there, so you've saved everyone a lot of boredom there.
There is
Yeah, pretty much.
There is. I mean, the dude you battled earlier literally said that. Said
Ah,
about, you
And
know,
you
there are
completely
2
ignored him,
things I
that
know about
outside me.
quicksand.
I wasn't paying enough attention. Oh,
No
which
one is.
which fossil do I want?
Um,
I want the plume fossil. I think.
I'll get the Plim Fossil as well actually.
Yeah.
Archeops
I
is kind
do.
of a beast.
I love Archeops. I mean, to be fair, I've mostly been using. I have been mostly using Caracosta in my runs, but that's because there aren't a lot of water types in this region I like. I mean, there are like 2 or 3 of them that I really do like, but oh yeah.
At this point, I'm just...
you can defeat Team Plasma.
I was going to say before the.
Yeah, I
the
do
Fan
like
Fossil-
Samurott, but if you haven't picked Samurott, then you're basically SOL in terms of water types.
Pretty much, yeah, actually.
All you've got is the
Monkey.
fish, the monkey, and the bird.
Pretty much, you just have to wait for Jellicent.
Oh yeah, and Jellicent, but Jellicent is. You can actually, I think you can get Jellicent as soon as you can get Surf.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's. I think it's the route just after the town where you start. There's like a surf route which you can go down, and you can just grab a Frillish
Yes.
from there.
And it's a good road to go into because that's where you find the egg that hatches into a vested.
So, if you haven't already been there, then I'll say take a trip.
Yep. Jellicent, Jellicent is a very good Pokemon. Perfect.
Jellicent's great.
Yeah, Jellicent's amazing.
I think I've had one in my I used to have an All Ghost team at some point, and I had one in those in there. Thing.
I think for a while I had one in my standard Gen 5 team.
I used Jellicent in both my singles and doubles teams in Gen 5, so.
This happened. Let me actually take a look. See when charms would actually load. There it is.
It did pair
Yeah,
off with Ferrothorn very well.
I did. It was back in Generation 6, and the team was based on Edge Slash, Trevenant, Jellicent, Chandelure, Misdreavus, and Mega Gengar. I think that nowadays I might have had Dhelmise in there somewhere because I freaking love Dhelmise.
I was watching a Police Quest video earlier today where it was showing some of the ways that you could lose. One of the funniest ones was there's this like stoned guy who you're supposed to arrest, and he like ends up in like this lake or something like that, and he's just kind of flailing around in the water. And the game just lets you shoot him. I was just like, wow, that is like the shittiest thing you could ever do, and the game rightly gives you an immediate game over for using excessive force.
Yep.
I was just like, I like the fact that they actually let you do that.
Yeah, one of the things about Sierra is that the developers tend to think of everything.
Yeah, they generally did let you do whatever you wanted. It's just a case of like most of them ended up killing you or giving you a game over.
Yep.
Maybe we should stream a Sierra game at some point.
Oh,
That'd
man.
be great. That
Oh,
would be
it would.
awesome.
I mean, to be perfectly fair, one of these days I really do need to do another Quest for Glory, you know, overarching series run, because I'll be honest, the Quest for Glory series is one of my favorite series of games ever. At least the first four. 5 can fornicate off.
There's
but-
a black sheep.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would actually, and that's a hilarious thing, I actually prefer the 256, like, you know, 8-bit version, so to speak, of 1 and 2 to the remakes. I feel that the designs of, you know, creatures and everything actually in the first one look better, and the second one isn't official.
I have to say that one thing I have noticed from seeing like the remakes of them and then the originals is that the death messages are a lot more funny when it's just text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when it reads them out to you, it kind of loses some of the humor.
Honestly, the only Quest for Glory game that really had voice work, and I'm talking about official games here, was Quest for Glory 4. Again, 5 also did, but 5 doesn't really count. And the thing with 4 is that it's very weird about its voice work. Because on one hand, they did get a few really good people to do the voice work. They got John Rhys Davis as a narrator, and yeah, he's kind of killing it. Well, obviously he is. He's John Rhys Davis. But the rest of the cast, especially these particular 3 idiots that sit in the tavern at some point, they really don't stick to the script half the time. There's a lot of deviation from the script, and you know, it's kind of... It's okay, because, you know, you hear them talk, and, you know, it feels like... All the things they kind of added them saying is sort of like additional flavor text, kind of. You know what I mean? Kind of background color, sort of like little jokes and little... The 3 characters I've mentioned earlier specifically are like these 3 country bumpkins that are sort of sitting in the tavern and, you know, prattling about everything going on right now in the scene. So obviously, you know, I guess they kind of left the... they haven't edited their in-game text to match the
That's
very
shareable.
obviously ad-libbed lines. Because it's like, you know, it's not really significant for what they're trying to carry over. But you know, they have these guys, and they have this gnome who is actually, he was cursed to have an awful sense of humor forever.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a pretty impressive curse.
That's quite...
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
honestly-
hell of a curse.
yeah, I mean, gnomes are basically, and that's the thing, he's a comedian. So
Oh!
and yeah, he kind of made the joke about the wrong witch.
Ah.
And the witch basically cursed him to have to be the unfunniest person ever.
So basically, he's Vince McMahon,
Yeah.
the chairman and owner of an entertainment company who thinks that incest and necrophilia are hilarious.
Oh, who doesn't?
Well, most of his fans, considering the reaction that those. Oh, there's an interesting thing that turned up.
Yes, I'm not allowed to say this thing's name on stream.
It's too late. Its name is already written on the screen.
Oh dear. Another fine example of dumb Nintendo censorship. That's
Well,
It's I'm pretty sure that what happened with the Fagrigus is what is generally referred to as the Scunthorpe problem.
yes.
We're definitely not allowed to explain what that means.
Yep.
No, just look
Let's
it up.
just say it's a
Google
robotic mistake.
it. Yeah, just Google it.
yep.
Oh, okay. Confagri
It just killed itself. Oh
It's yeah. I was gonna chuck a Pokeball at it, but then
It doesn't want to be caught. It doesn't want.
it killed itself rather than be caught.
It's basically the equivalent of telling the universe.
Oh, you gotten cut off there.
Mine's working alright, isn't it?
Yeah, yours is fine. I think it's been a minor microphone explosion.
Okay, so
No, it's working fine now.
okay, did I get cut off or did you get cut off? I think
I think you got cut off.
Oh, yeah. I basically said that it was basically doing the equivalent of telling the universe, you can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah, pretty much. I might just
I
slap
was
her.
going to say, on the mention of you streaming Quest for Glory, during the Charms meetup, we did have another intention for your stream.
Oh?
If we can get hold of a copy of Phantasy Star Universe.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hilariously enough, I would have done that. I would have entirely done that just for the sake
It would,
of the...
it would be amazing if we can, because we're doing, obviously we want to do the bad game stream at some point.
Well, obviously, yes.
Data has bravely volunteered to do Metro Other M.
Pray for me.
Yeah,
You who are about to not be authorized.
yeah, it might not be authorized, but we're going to do it anyway.
Oh my god.
Myself and Alex, we're going to see if me and Alex can have a race. He's going to be playing Sonic 06 and I'm going to be playing Daikatana, and the objective is just to see who can beat their game first.
That's amazing. And yeah, this is one of those things we would really need when I'm actually physically there, because holy shit.
And yeah, if we could have you do Phantasy Star Universe, that would really...
Oh my god.
The Sonic 06 and Daikatana race could be made a lot quicker if you just did first to crash.
Yeah, I'm not sure who would win that, to be honest with you.
Probably Daikatana. I think Sonic 06 is broken, but Daikatana has crash bugs.
Daikatana does have crash bugs. I've not personally encountered any yet, luckily.
Oh, okay.
But I know some people have.
I thought you could. Oh no, because it's. Sorry, I got mixed up because I was thinking of the co-op bug where you couldn't progress through levels, but of course that's not a
more
crash
of
bug.
than a crash. That being said, on certain machines, I think the Steam version's alright for it, but I know other versions of Daikatana have had like exception errors where the game just completely crashes.
Wow.
You know, honestly, I think if I ever played Daikatana, I would manage to do that, because I kind of have this gift, I have to admit. If there is a hole in the floor somewhere, I would fall into it, and if there isn't a hole in the floor, I would fall into a hole in the code.
You are the Byron of Games QA.
Yeah,
It's
I mean we
still-
could, yeah. I mean we could. I mean potentially me and Alex could be who could race to render their game unwinnable. That would be quite an interesting one.
Yeah, that would work.
We've already. I think we kind of discussed it at the restaurant we went to. Like, it pretty much be because he's obviously beaten Sonic 06, and I have not yet beaten Daikatana. So it'd basically be a race between me screwing up repeatedly and being killed by the expert. Well, no, not me being killed. Superfly Johnson being killed.
Yeah, that's basically the thing with Daikatana, isn't it?
Yeah,
If
is
it's
Superfly and
Johnson-
Makiko are basically just
Yeah.
a massive liability, and they're going to be the cause of most of my suffering. However, Alex also has to deal with Sonic 06's loading times.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Daikatana kind of has impressive loading types himself.
It
And it
does.
also
I mean,
has
they're not that
really
much worse than
annoying-
Half-Life, to be fair.
But
The issue
fact
with
it kind of sort of freezes in the middle of the game, like,
Yeah, that ticking noise just needs to go to hell. I don't know why they need to have that. Like, maybe, I think, my theory is the reason why they had that is because they knew the game was shit, and that's basically what game's way of saying, oh, I haven't actually crashed behind this loading screen.
It's a way to draw attention to it, though.
Yeah, it does draw attention to the fact that you still have to keep playing.
I mean, if
the
it went
issue
to
with-
hell, then it might have sort of fallen into a doom.
I mean, the issue with Daikatana's checkpoints aren't so much the loading time. The loading time isn't bad for its time. Like, Half-Life took about as long itself. And you don't hear anybody complaining about Half-Life.
No?
The issue with Daikatana is where the loading checkpoints are placed.
Oh yeah, they're in the middle of the
Half-Life
level.
had the sense to place its loading checkpoints in areas where there was literally nothing there. It's like just a random corridor or something like that, with like a bunch of boxes in. Daikatana will put these loading checkpoints next to where enemies spawn.
Yep.
It's just a terrible idea.
I still remember a few of your streams where the game basically kept reloading you into a swarm of angry robots.
Yeah, it basically did. Like, there's one part where in the vault where literally you're walking down into this room, like it's a completely open room, and because it hasn't loaded what's in the room yet, there's nothing in there. It's just an empty room. Then you walk across the checkpoint, which loads the room, and then it just dumps like 7 enemies right in front of you.
Yep.
I remember that. Right.
And while I can handle 7 enemies at once, but Super Kai and Mikiko are right there with you at the checkpoint because that's where you have to take them to. So obviously they just walk into the rockets and die.
Yep.
And
But you can't leave your friend Superfly and Mikiko.
no, you can't. And the issue with it is obviously because you've crossed that loading part, that's where it spawns you when you die or when they die. So all it does is it just drops you straight back there again, and then Mikiko and Superfly just die again, and you're just caught in an endless loop of deaths. That's the issue with the placement of Daikatana's loading checkpoints. And to be honest with you, yeah, you can kind of say, yeah, we had trouble production, blah blah blah, etc. Whatever. That should be common sense, not to
I
do
know,
that.
right? Then again, to be fair, nothing about Daikatana made sense because he was basically just John Romero running on pure hubris and green.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he was on his big ego trip. He was loving life. He had his gigantic, lovely HQ for Arnstorm and his gigantic, glorious skyscraper, which I will say looks exactly like a penis. Which is extremely appropriate given the circumstances surrounding this. And I know it's quite easy to say, like, I know it's quite easy to like say that skyscrapers are phallic. Just Google this skyscraper; it literally is the shape of a penis. Like, there's no two ways about it. If I didn't know any better, I would say they made it look like a penis deliberately. That's how much it looks like one. And yeah, they pretty much spent like their entire time living the happy life, you know, living luxury, like riding on their past success and fame. Yeah, if you want to Google it, just Google Ion Storm HQ. It should turn up. You'll know it when you see it.
Yep. It's very, very, very obvious.
Yeah, it's very obvious when you've seen it. Just look for the skyscraper that looks like a penis, and that's the one. You can't miss it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Have
Right.
you Googled it?
I just did, yeah.
What do you think?
I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about it on stream.
Exactly. that's my point. So yeah, it's like it is a story all about like how you know, humility is, you know, a good thing to have. Like, as I say, he was perfectly like, you know, he was all like, you know, say living the good life. He was, you know, his former success and all that about with Doom and all that, and he was like, it is 100% a penis. You're absolutely right, Terry. It is. As I say, I'm not entirely convinced they didn't do it deliberately. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice looking building, it just looks like a penis.
Should we move on before we get banned?
Yeah, we probably should. And it would be, of course, John Romero's fault that we get banned.
We didn't do it, Governor, it was John Romero.
Nick was involved.
If we're going to get banned, it's going to be John Romero's fault. I've already said, like, my Twitter.
Oh my
well,
god, I just
my
had
Twitter will
the
get banned as well.
deepest, most silliest realization ever. You're racing Daikatana and Sonic 2006. Sonic 2006 involves Robotnik, who is known for Pingus. And
Yes.
Daikatana was developed by Ironstorm, who is also known for Pingus.
Pretty much, yes.
It's the ultimate Pingus race.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And let's be honest, both these games were made by complete dicks.
Yep.
Let's not mince words here.
Yep. No
Like,
way around it.
It takes a certain level of shamelessness to release the games in that condition, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it's just because Sega Brass decided it had to be out, didn't it?
Yeah, you'd think they've actually looked at it first, but of course they won't.
Well,
That
they don't.
doesn't happen, does it?
They don't care, do they?
Of course they don't.
Sega is one of the most horribly mismanaged companies ever. And that's one of the reasons they actually ended up, falling apart the way they did. I mean, when I was young, Sony and Microsoft obviously were not even players in the games. It was Nintendo versus Sega all the time. And then the Saturn happened.
See,
Because
to me,
basically the
best-
Japanese side of Sega and the Asian side of Sega weren't talking to each other. And it all just kind of went sideways from there.
See, to me, like, the Sega's whole history, to me, like, the best analogy to describe them for me would be, they're like a king that lives at the top of this amazing tower, and they're the best. And then one time comes where they need to go downstairs, all the way down this spiral staircase, and then they trip on the first step and fall all the way down.
They warned you about stairs, bro.
And yeah, ever since like the Sega CD has just been them falling down this gigantic flight of stairs, stair by stair, for years.
Yeah. I mean,
And Sonic 06 was pretty much when they hit the bottom.
I don't know. Sonic Boom happened eventually.
Yeah, I guess that's the drunken stupor when they finally climbed back up again and then fell straight back down.
Oh god. Yeah, I still have no idea what exactly they were when they thought that was a good
See,
idea.
the interesting thing is Phantasy Star Universe is technically Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah.
technically.
So which is worse, Phantasy Star Universe or Sonic 06? There's the question.
I mean, here's the thing. Phantasy Star Universe had Phantasy Star Online, and both of those were horrendous insults to Phantasy Star as a series.
Mm.
Sonic sort of has been wibbling on the edge of what ever since it made the move into the 3D.
Mm.
I mean, I know there's a lot of people who would swear by the adventure games. I've watched playthroughs of the adventure games. They want to punch whoever told they were a good idea. Both of them.
I don't think the adventure games have really aged well though, so I
They
think that
really,
kind of works against.
they really, really haven't. But they weren't all that great originally too.
Mm.
You know,
I'd say they're definitely vastly inferior to like stuff like Sonic 2 and Sonic CD and the actual 2D ones.
Mm.
yeah, no,
The Sonic CD was pretty awesome.
yeah.
It was surprisingly.
Honestly, though, the 3D Sonic games and the 2D Sonic, basically two very different games.
Mm.
In a sense, it's. I want to compare it to Metroid, but I can't because even though
Metro
you have
Prime was actually good.
yes, exactly, and Metroid Prime, to be perfectly honest, is a Metroid game. I mean, the interface is different. Everything is weird first-person shootery, and it's not perfect as far as I'm concerned. But the game, in terms of game design, in terms of how it feels, it's still very Metroid. It's still very atmospheric. It's still very exploration-based. There's still also little nooks and crannies to explore. Yeah, it is a Metroid game. The Sonic games.
I think the best comparison would probably be the Mega Man games. 'Cause look what happened to them when they went to 3D.
Yeah, definitely. They
You got
honestly.
X7.
Yeah, that's the thing. The hilarious thing about X7 is the fact that they kind of tried it. They realized how awful it was,
Yeah.
and then they never spoke of it again. Mega Man X8 was, 3D rendered, but it was a 2D game.
Yeah.
And to this point, the only Mega Man game that is 3D and, natively 3D is the Dash series, the Legend series, as they call it outside of Japan.
Yeah. But even
And-
they were quite old.
Again, and it is also its own thing.
Yeah.
I mean-
I think Legends came out before X7 did. I'm pretty certain.
It did, but there's the thing with Legends. It is very much its own game. It does not pretend to be a Mega Man game like the sort of Mega Man games you played before.
That helps.
The Metroid games, the Prime games, do attempt to be like, we are Metroid, but in 3D, and they are right. And there is a reason why, at some point, they've realized that these games play very differently, and that's when they came up with the concept of modern classic Sonic gameplay, which you get to see in Generations.
Yeah. And then they forcibly used it again for Sonic Forces, and it didn't work anywhere near as well.
Well, yeah. I suppose.
He played like Sonic Classic, but
Hilbert,
like Sonic Classic should.
to answer the comment in chat, Hilbert and Hilda are, I believe, 16. So they're not 10, which I suppose is slightly better than every other Pokemon game, but they're not adults by any means.
That being said, I'd be more happy to consider trusting the power of a giant godly dragon with a 10-year-old than a 16-year-old.
Yeah. Can't argue with you there. Yep.
Just for the fact that the 10-year-old is probably be like, yeah, I can play superhero, whereas the 16 is going to be like an angsty teen who wants to end the world.
That's what we have N for.
Pretty much.
I don't know, N doesn't seem that angsty to me.
Oh no, he's not angsty. He's just very, very, very.
He's very oppressed.
Yeah, he's a guy on a mission, a very, very misguided one, but a mission all the same.
Yeah.
I like N, to be perfectly honest. And I do love the fact that he's learning and growing up. And actually, here's one of the things that I've kind of noticed. While he was operating under a completely unwavering conviction, he was a lot more, quote-unquote unstoppable. But by the point where you actually get to fight him, when you fight him the first time, he's like, wait, you mean there are Pokemon that don't hate people? And it sort of planted a seed in his head of the idea that, things...
I often forget that Maractus exists.
Same.
And yeah, as the game goes by and you defeat him more often than not, and, things happen, he does sort of start doubting, and by the point where you actually fight him in the final battle, he's very much in a, he wants you to prove him wrong at that particular point, I think.
I think so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Anthea and, what's-her-face, Concordia, whatever, the completely soulless, personality-less cardboard cat-out twins, they basically say that, that they think that deep down N has already realized separating Pokemon from people is kind of a stupid idea.
Yeah.
But, he's kind of so deeply committed to this scenario that he just has information. And I love that. I really do love that.
Yeah, there's a hell of a kind of a storyline going on with N, which is, like I say, it's one of the few times Pokemon's actually tried a storyline like this, and it really works, because N is supposed to have been raised by Ghetsis, and so you've got a hell of a lot of kind of an abusive parent thing going on, which is a hell of a thing, really, like in a Pokemon game, in a kids game, but it works, and it's actually kind of... People are beginning to realise, very slowly, that you can actually write meaningful stories and meaningful characters and everything, even in children's media. Pokemon tends to prefer not to, but in black and white they did, and it was great. Right, time to batter Bianca. It would be so funny if she just rolled me at this point.
Well, she is definitely the stronger of the two rivals, so...
That's true, yeah. Oh, yeah. Should have healed up first. Oh, well. Let's see.
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be alright.
That line has the silly...
She has a big dog.
She does have a very big dog.
That line has a really silly progression, to be perfectly honest. It basically goes from a Yorkie to a Scotty to a movie-era Scotty.
Has a giant mustache.
Yep.
It's the first time I saw this thing, I was like, you know, it's this Dogger pillar.
Yeah, it's great. The dog is a horse, is a caterpillar, and the caterpillar is a horse.
I know, right? Well,
She just spent two
it's a
turns setting up
centipede,
and
but
it's
still.
dying one hit. Great job. Great job, Bianca. Regular Sharon now, aren't you?
Right, what am I going to use against Mashana? Pretty
Well,
much.
the person you would have used against Mashana is dead, so...
Yeah, so let's throw Weeble at it and see what happens.
You'll probably just one-hit it with Flare Blitz and then have a good time.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Yeah, if you don't, it's probably going to kill you.
Oh, it got alerted to my Flare Blitz.
Oh, yes. Like
It
that.
saw its own doom. Wow, that did not kill it.
Yeah, Mashana's got quite a bit of health and defenses, to be fair.
Oh, that thing is...
And now you're... Okay, just let you kill it.
Yeah.
it's kind of a shame that Mushana is. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty sure that there should be Pokemon are like this. You know, basically damage sponges should be designed around that. You know, just sort of tank a hit and then counter it with some horrible. Not like, you know, obviously not to the extreme point of Wobbuffet, but
They should have some way of, you know, sort of staying in the battle and making your life a living hell.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
Mashana,
Mashana is pretty good at that.
is it really? I mean, honestly, I've not seen it really do much damage ever.
Well, it doesn't need to, it just puts you to sleep.
Oh right, I forgot that it kind of has that tendency. And now just sort of picturing this small Murkrow just kind of sitting on it. And like
Just
lightly
pecking it
pecking
randomly.
it. Yes, exactly. I have so many mixed feelings about Samurott.
I like it.
I like it, but
At the same time, I have issues with its anatomy.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, to be fair, like, anatomy is like a major issue consistently throughout Pokemon. So.
Really
Well,
is.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
To be fair, but the thing is that, you know, basically the thing with the Samurott line is the fact that they've
really sort of had no idea where they were going with it. This is actually
Yeah.
this was actually stated in an interview. They designed Oshawott and they designed, you know, Duot, and then they kind of hit a wall. They weren't sure where they're going to go with that particular line. They knew they were going for a Japanese theme because basically, in Sinnoh, for some reason, which is America, you've got the grass starter, which has a European influence, the fire starter, which has a Chinese influence, and the water starter, which was going for a Japanese influence. And they weren't sure what they were going to do with it. And then they went to a zoo. And they saw some kind of sea lions, and they were like, you know, those are awesome. And then they were like, you know, hey, we could work a sea lion into the otter.
Yeah, they should
And,
just stuck with the otter theme.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there is also, you can also argue there's a bit of a giant I say giant otter, I mean a specific species called the giant otter, which is actually one of the weirdest faced things ever. These things just have really monstrous looking faces, perfectly honest, but they don't really look like typical otters. So anyway, basically they developed this weird sea lion thing, and it was kind of nifty, but at the same time, how does that thing stand on two legs? I mean, they kind of showed it in the anime, sort of propping itself up and, you know, doing the nifty arm blade shell thing, which I appreciate a lot. But there's a reason why I've never drawn. I cannot make it feasibly stand upright. I just can't.
This is not how sea lion limbs work.
Oh look, the Shadow Triad are here to move me 5 feet forward again.
Yep.
Do they even do anything?
No, they don't.
Not in this game, no.
In this game, they do nothing.
It's like, why do we even pay? Why do they even pay those guys? Apart from to stand
They
around.
get us out of jail at the end of it. So
That's
we can go-
true. Yeah, to be fair, because
And in Black and White too, you actually get to battle them a few times.
that's true. But in this game, they mostly just stand around and look ominous.
Yep. I mean, they have to be. They're basically there because Ghetsis just has to keep his pet ninjas.
Look, man, I had to spend so much investing on these cosplayers. I have to give them some screen time. One of the things that actually bothered me about the Shadow Triad is the fact that they originally had slightly different, but still different. And essentially, when the time came to actually have them have battle sprites, they just made one and stuck with it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because, the funny thing is that they still have visible Black White 2 trailer, which is still one of the better pieces of animation that was ever done for Pokemon. They don't have the exact differences they were planned with originally, but they still... And they don't do that in the game. There's actually a whole bunch of things about Generation 5 that were left unfinished. Which is kind of funny when you take a look at Generation 5 and see how generally finished and streamlined it is. But there was originally a plan to do something with the weird puzzle on Ed's design. Like, there was a thing that this Millennium Puzzle thing was a good say. I guess someone told them, guys, to Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm like, what do you mean to Yu-Gi-Oh? And they were like, it's a game with a blue eyes white dragon, red eyes black dragon. And it was like, oh, fair enough. I guess we should leave the Millennium Puzzle.
Yeah, basically they needed to go and tell the scenario designers to lay off the manga.
Screw the rules, I have money.
Yep.
And you know what the best part is? When you take a look at the male character for this particular game.
That's true.
He looks like Jaden Yuki. He really, really does. I mean...
That's not a point in his favour, let's be honest.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you take a look at... basically, I'm trying to find actual images here just for the reference, for the sake of the chat here. But
Jaden was a bit of an oddball in the progression of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Protagonist, considering his hair was quite normal.
Well, his hair is a Karibo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Hilbert. And... One moment. And that's Jaden Yuki.
I have to be honest, Jaden pulls it off a bit better.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I think it's the hat.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I'm okay with Hilbert's hat because at least it's not Nate's hat. Or rather visor. Just wears this really weird 90s visor.
I think that might be like, oh wait, that's because he's American, or one of those things. Like it's a weird foreign perception of it. Anyway.
He's from Jersey.
Yeah.
Basically, Nate and Rosa just kind of have this sort of weird, they're from Jersey sort of aesthetic going on. And yeah, it amuses me because, I have a friend who pointed this out the moment they kind of went, what the hell's wrong with their designs? She's like, well, they're from Jersey. And I'm pretty sure that the region, that the town they live in is sort of located in the general Jersey analog area. So it's like, huh. Oh, it's the mall.
It is.
I completely forgot there was a mall here.
Shopping Hall 9.
9!
In other words, can you afford it? 9.
Oh dear gods. To be fair, at least this one's just a mall. And not, Mallville City in, Oras, aka Darth Mall. God. Still want to find whoever came up with that particular design in the face with a Mega Buick.
Oh. That's pointless.
I want to buy all the TMs.
Why would I want either of those? Hyper Beam or Giga Impact? It's just a complete waste of money.
Pretty much. I'm a rich boy. I have red Pokemon.
I'm pretty sure the people that run these places probably wouldn't approve of this, random children smashing it up while having battles. But what would I know?
Yeah, it's just you're just having a random shop in the mall, and then suddenly a cat and a swan decide to have a fight.
Yeah. That sounds like most shopping malls I've been in.
And realistically, the swan wins.
Yes.
Yep. I'm a rich boy. Even though I lost, I'm not frustrated. Bah!
I mean, to be fair, swans can leave bruises just by swinging their wings at you, so...
Yeah, swans are kind of...
And the worst thing is they know it.
Yep, that was the game's, that was the game's Rotom shape change, mod.
That was, yep. I kind of figured it was, but... We'll come back there another time, I think.
Yeah, when they actually let you use Rotom in battles against other people. Because Gen 4 didn't.
Yeah, I mean, Gen 4,
blimey.
what they've done, the thing with Generation 4 as opposed to Generation 6 and 5, is the fact that they had different... They didn't... I'm sorry, it's happening again. Basically, what I'm saying is that they did not have separate matchmaking systems for the different games. Essentially, all the Generation 4 games had to use the same system. So, you could, if you were playing with, say, Platinum, you could feasibly be battling someone playing Diamond and Pearl or Hard Gold, Soul Silver, and neither of those had a Rotom form. So they couldn't. See, they basically, they couldn't really watch the games back then because obviously this wasn't Generation 6 yet. So they basically went, no, we can't do that. So we're going to block off any new forms from being used competitively. And that's why you could not do anything with the Rotom forms or Giratina Origin or Skymin, Shaymin Sky. I keep calling it Skymin, even when I don't think about it. So yeah, all those three new things introduced in Platinum were unusable in multiplayer battles because they did not exist yet. And I think the same went for the no wait, I think that when they did Generation 5 they already had separate matchmaking systems for Black and White and Black to White too. Because I do remember the Therians being fairly... Oh no, wait, they just simply made events... They basically just forced you to use Black 2 or White 2 in official events. But I think they did have
It's kind of weird seeing Iris having, not a completely shit personality.
Yeah, it is, I know.
She has a personality.
Yeah, and she's not as awful as she is in the... Well, yeah, in the anime. Actually, that's the hilarious thing about Iris, considering the fact that, she's completely and utterly obnoxious in the anime. The voice actor who does her voice usually uses a similar voice for most of her. She usually does characters that are actually quite nice. I mean, I think their biggest voice role now is... Yes, Madoka is Iris. And she also voices Hibiki in Symphogear. And, I don't know, I mean, I'm trying to remember what else she did. She voiced Platinum Trinity in BlazBlue, but nobody cares about BlazBlue. I know, a lot of people care about BlazBlue. I'm just being bitter because it's not a proper Guilty Gear game. We never had one of those since 2. And, what else did she do? I know she was in a game... Oh right, she was in Persona 5. She was the awesome UFO lady. Sakura. Futaba. Whatever. But yeah, most of the characters she plays are not awful. So it's like, Iris is a very weird outlier.
What about Futaba?
Hmm?
No, it just someone said Futaba in chat. I'm wondering what about her?
I've mentioned, did I get cut off again?
Probably.
I said that, I'll just kind of skip it quickly. Iris's voice actress in Japanese usually plays characters that are quite nice.
Ah, okay.
She did Madoka, she did Hibiki in here, she did about in Persona 5. She generally does characters that are like, nice and non-confrontational.
Gotcha.
And then you've got Iris.
Is there any use for the ring target whatsoever?
I think there is, but I can't remember what it is.
Ah, okay.
Fling, basically. Or, not fling, switcheroo or
Yeah,
the other
switcheroo, stuff like that, but even then, like, you're better off just giving them choice bands and other horrible things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically the whole idea of the ring to yeah, I mean, basically you can get around the need for the ring target by carrying a move like Soak or something to that effect, or
The issue with the ring target is, like, generally the purpose that it serves can be done better with other things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a defensive thing that has, like, support moves, just give it a choice item and you've crippled it. If it's something fast, you can trick it a lagging tail and that cripples it. So it's like, removing its, like, resistances is not really going to do a whole lot.
Yeah. Because there's very few Pokemon without a meaningful weakness.
Immunity, basically, that's the thing with it's supposed to be an immunity killer. Actually, I think that it also sort of does a no guard thing, where anything you launch at a thing holding a ring target will hit. So it could be a useful little thing for no wait, it just removes attack immunities, never mind. For a second I thought it also kind of that would have been an interesting way to actually make the ring target viable. By actually making it sort of it's easier to aim like that.
Yeah.
And then, just sort of stick a ring thing and just stone edging it to death.
I still think
any other
it would probably still be rendered
yeah,
obsolete.
you would still, yeah.
Lagging tail and shit on them.
Honestly, no guard just kind of makes it pointless in that particular case, so...
Yeah, no guard's amazing. I do like the fact that Mega Pidgeot got no guard with Hurricane.
Yep, that's basically what it does. It's a hurricane machine.
Which is what it should have been in the first place, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
Yeah.
I do like the fact that they've actually given Pidgeot some kind of use. I think they should be doing the same for the other, starter birds, but make them all different from each other. Like, originally, back when we took a look, back at Generation 1, Pidgeot was already sort of the special attack, wind-based moved sort of bird, while Spearow was the drilly, angry beak sort of bird.
Just protect you to death, yeah.
Yeah, Drill Peck, for example. So they should sort of emphasize that if they ever do a Mega Fearow, or they could just turn it into Ridley, whatever works. Again, Staraptor should, yeah.
Whoa.
Again, yeah, I heard that too. Again, Staraptor, for example, should be normal fighting and a way to make use of that close combat, which, yeah. Maybe turn Noctowl into a psychic bird of some sort.
Yeah?
Swallow, I'm sure Swallow has some use for it. It could definitely do the guts thing somehow. Although, again, you're better off with, one of those orbs that do a status ailment and trigger guts immediately. I have seen people do some really terrifying things with flame orbed swallows.
So it was kind of funny in Gen 3 where people, because obviously flame orb and stuff like that didn't the best item to put in it was choice band, and the idea was just to try and bait people into using status moves and just switching Swellow into them.
Oh boy.
Obviously, it was much harder to pull it off, but the advantage was that you now had Choice Band on top of the Guts boost.
Yeah, that's really painful. I cannot think of any way in which you could salvage a Pheasant.
Yeah, I think on Pheasant's beyond help, to be honest.
Yep.
But Braviary can be helped, I guess.
Oh yeah, Braviary should definitely also get the fighting flying treat. And yeah, I mean, Talonflame is already a bit of an arse without giving it a boost. And
to be fair.
yeah, it did. It got a nerf that made it completely useless, but you know, honestly, F it.
And then we got what's its name? The Toucan.
Cannon. Yeah, Toucannon. Which is fair.
Beak Blast is funny.
It is funny, yeah. I do want to see what we'll get next generation. I mean, what sort of bird are they going to pull out of the oblivion?
I hope it's like some sort of like giant ostrich or something it turns into.
That could be interesting.
I mean, we've had Dodrio, but that was ages ago, so...
Yep.
I actually have an ostrich-based Pokemon, Miato. It's, I actually sort of played around with the idea of, you know, ostriches digging their head in the sand actually being, the myth actually happened because they've actually noticed that the females sort of pretend to be a large cluster of leaf and dirt and whatever because they sort of they have the right colors for it. They just sort of perch on their eggs when they, you know, incubate them, and they sort of curl up or something, or just, you know, sort of rest in a sort of. It's a camouflage thing. So what I did with ostrich, because yes, obviously I had to make a terrible spelling into a creature design. It's actually got this really nifty rock plating going on, and its tail is sort of designed like a shrub or just some kind of a plant. So it just kind of curls up and pretends to be a rock with like a plant growing out of it, and that's how it avoids conflict. And actually, I've had it. Ostriches were sort of my Sudowoodo for that for one particular route. And then, if you actually, I think it actually went to evolve it when it knows dragon, something like that. It turns into a rock dragon thing that is based on one of those ancient, long extinct murder birds.
Oh yeah.
That Tremor, I flipping love that thing.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's one of my. I have dragons for every situation. In the. Which I really need to actually sit down at some point and design more of, so to speak. Isn't that?
That's an impressive sneeze.
Thank you. Stream didn't hear it because I managed to mute myself beforehand, but...
Yeah.
Yep. And on that bombshell, I think
Yes.
it's probably time to draw this merry episode to a close. I reckon
Yeah,
we
probably.
probably have 2, maybe 3 at the most goes at this before we're done. I mean,
I think so, yeah.
I think
I mean, obviously that's not counting any of the additional content.
yeah. Well, I mean, basically it's just the 8th gym and then go do Victory Road and the rest of the game.
Pretty much, yeah.
So maybe even 2 goes, but we'll see. When we get towards the end, I might decide what to do with it, because I might start earlier and do a Bumble episode for the last bit, or might not. Who knows? But by the time we get into the interesting part of the story, I don't necessarily want to stop until we're done, so
That's fair.
we'll see.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been fun, and we made a lot of progress today, which is nice.
Indeed.
So yeah, okay, right. We'll be back. Well, I won't be back next weekend. I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm not going to be around.
I might be.
I think
I'll have to check.
I might be. I think I might end up skipping next week completely. But again, we'll let you know as always. So I'm imagining Dr. Oak will be back with Soul Silver at some point. But other than that, that's it for us from now. Thank you very, very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye bye all.
Later.